Imagine you are a 14-year-old boy living on a farm in Idaho. You have no electricity, no internet, and no phone. Your only job is to drive a horse and a plow back and forth across a giant field of hay. Most kids would be daydreaming about lunch, but Philo Farnsworth was looking at the dirt. He noticed that the plow made long, straight, parallel lines in the soil. Suddenly, like a lightning bolt, an idea hit him. He thought, what if I could take a picture, break it into lines like these, and send those lines through the air as electricity? At that moment, in the middle of a dusty farm, the idea for television was born. Philo Farnsworth was not a scientist with $1 million lab. Philo Farnsworth was just a farm boy who saw the future in the dirt. Philo Farnsworth found a way to turn light into a stream of electrons. He didn't know it yet, but that one idea would make him a hero and then break his heart. This is the story of the genius the world forgot and the billionaire who tried to steal his mind. Philo was a self-taught genius. He read every science magazine he could find. He even fixed all the broken machines on his father's farm using nothing but his imagination. When he got to high school, he drew his idea for an electronic television on a chalkboard for his chemistry teacher. He explained how a vacuum tube could scan a picture line by line, just like he scanned the field with his plow. His teacher was stunned. He told Philo, "Don't ever lose this drawing. It's worth a fortune." Philo didn't have money to build his machine, but he had a brain that never stopped. He moved to San Francisco and convinced 2 investors to give him a small lab. He worked in total secrecy. He painted the windows of his lab black so no one could see what he was doing. People in the street thought he was making a bomb. But in 1827, at the age of 21, Philo finally did it. He sent a simple image of a straight line from one room to another. It was the first electronic television image in history. He had captured the light. While Philo was celebrating in his tiny lab, a giant was watching him from New York City. His name was David Sarnoff, and he was the head of RCA, the most powerful radio company in the world. Sarnoff was a man who wanted to own the air. He had heard rumors that a farm boy in San Francisco had invented a way to send pictures through the sky. Sarnoff didn't believe in sharing. He believed that if an invention was important, it should belong to RCA. He sent his top engineer, Vladimir Zworykin, to Philo's lab. He told him to pretend to be a friend and learn everything he could. Philo, being a kind and honest person, showed Zworykin everything. He even showed him the image dissector tube, the heart of the TV. Zworykin walked out of the lab and reported back to Sarnoff. He's got it. It's a work of genius. Sarnoff didn't want to pay Philo for his invention. He offered Philo $100,000 to buy the whole company and make Philo an employee. Today, that sounds like a lot, but Philo knew his invention was worth billions. He said no. He wanted to be the king of his own mountain. This made David Sarnoff furious. Sarnoff famously said, "RCA doesn't pay royalties. We collect them." He decided that if he couldn't buy Philo, he would bury him. He told his army of lawyers to find a way to sue Philo into the ground. He claimed that RCA had invented the TV first. This started a legal war that lasted for 10 years. Philo, a young man with a small lab, was now fighting the richest company in the world. It was a war of the filing cabinet against the farm boy, and the prize was the most powerful machine ever made. The war between the farm boy and the giant corporation moved from the laboratory to the courtroom. RCA had millions of dollars and hundreds of lawyers. They tried to prove that Philo had stolen the idea from their own scientist, Vladimir Zworykin. They brought in stacks of papers and technical drawings, trying to confuse the judges. It looked like Philo was going to lose everything. But then, something miraculous happened. Philo's old high school chemistry teacher, Justin Tallman, walked into the courtroom. He was carrying a dusty, yellowed piece of paper from years ago. It was the original drawing Philo had made on the chalkboard when he was only 14 years old. That one piece of paper changed history. It proved that before RCA even thought about electronic television, a boy in a hayfield had already designed the entire system. The judge looked at the drawing and then looked at the powerful men from RCA and realized they were lying. In 1934, the court made a shocking decision. They ruled that Philo Farnsworth was the true inventor of television. RCA was forced to do something they had never done before. They had to pay royalties to an outside inventor. Philo had won. He was the king of the air. But as he soon found out, winning a court case is not the same as winning the world. Sarnoff was a man who did not forget, and he was about to use his power to make sure that even though Philo had the patent, he would never have the fame. In 1939, the World's Fair was held in New York City. This was the biggest event in the world, and it was where David Sarnoff decided to introduce television to the public. He stood in front of the cameras and told the world, "We at RCA have created a new art form." He never mentioned Philo Farnsworth's name. Not even once. Sarnoff used his massive marketing machine to make the public believe that television was an RCA invention. Because Philo didn't have the money to build his own factories or buy advertisements, he was invisible. While millions of people were cheering for Sarnoff, Philo was sitting in his lab, watching his dream being stolen in broad daylight. Then World War II started. The government ordered all television production to stop, so that factories could build radar and radios for the war. This was the final blow for Philo. His patents were only good for 17 years. By the time the war ended and people started buying TVs again, Philo's patents had expired. This meant that any company could now build TVs without paying him a single penny. RCA had waited him out. They had used the war and the legal delays to run out the clock. Philo had spent his youth fighting for the rights to his invention, only to see it become free for everyone else just as it became famous. The wealth secret he thought he had was snatched away by time and corporate greed. As the 1950s arrived, television exploded. Every house in America had a glowing box in the living room. It was the most successful invention since the light bulb. But Philo Farnsworth was nowhere to be seen. He had become a broken man. The stress of the lawsuits and the heartbreak of being forgotten led him to struggle with his health and depression. He moved back to a quiet life, away from the cameras he had invented. One night, he was watching a popular TV game show called I've Got a Secret. The secret guest on the show was an old man that no one recognized. It was Philo Farnsworth. They asked him if he had invented something used in a kitchen or a bathroom. They had no idea that the man sitting in front of them was the reason they were on television in the first place. When the host finally revealed that Philo was the inventor of electronic television, the audience gave him a small clap, and he was given a carton of cigarettes and $80 as a prize. That was it. The man who created a billion-dollar industry was treated like a trivia question. Philo looked at the glowing screen and told his wife, "It was worth it, just to see that it works." Philo Farnsworth died in 1971, almost completely forgotten by the public. He didn't die a billionaire like Henry Ford or a world-famous hero like Thomas Edison. He died as a man who had seen the future too early. But his story is one of the most important lessons in the history of business. He showed us that a great idea is not enough. You have to have the power to protect it. He was the ultimate underdog. Today, every screen you look at, your phone, your laptop, your giant 4K TV uses the fundamental technology that a 14-year-old boy imagined in an Idaho hayfield. Philo's wealth was not in his bank account. It was in the way we see the world. They come from the minds of people who are brave enough to look at the dirt and see the stars. He was the father of television, even if the world took a long time to say his name. His life reminds us that innovation is a battle. And sometimes the person who starts the race isn't the one who gets the trophy, but they are the one who changes the world. If you think it is tragic how a boy's dream was stolen by a giant corporation, wait until you see how the next inventor used the power of invisible rays to build a weapon that could end the world or power it forever. Click the next video to see the secret of the man who split the atom and changed the fate of humanity.